Good day po. Ang ating topic for this day about mediators of stress, about coping and social support. So, ano nga ba yung mediators of stress, coping, and support? And alam naman natin kung ano yung coping, di ba? Pag-aralan naman natin ito nung nakaraang reporting and na-discuss na rin ng iba. So, alam naman natin kung ano yung meaning ng coping. Simple lang naman. Simple lang naman yun. Like to manage and avoid those circumstances, and it can help to reduce our stress in a healthy way. Example, ikaw nakikinig ka ng music o ako. Ayun yung coping ko para naman mabawasan yung stress ko sa aking isipan. Para naman hindi na ako masyadong na-stress sa mga ginagawa ko. Then meron din 3 basic objectives ng coping. Number 1 is to figure out first how to improve things para naman hindi ito affected sa problema mo. Kung ano yung ginagawa mo, kunyari nag-aaral ka, hindi mo alam kung paano ito solusyonan. And number 2 and 3, same lang naman ito, para naman hindi ka ma-stress sa problema. Think of a solution and kontrolin mo sarili mo para hindi agad ma-stress. Kasi kapag naisip mo agad yun, mga ganyan, maraming scenarios sa utak mo na lalong magpapakagulo sa'yo. Next is the role of social class, race, and gender in social stress. Na-discuss naman ito nung nakarang reporting ng Group 5, uulitin na lang natin. So, in social class, those who are in the lower social class have higher mental and emotional stress than those who are affluent. 3 common factors are, maiksi lang explain ito. So, social class all about those lower class na malaking chance na magkaroon ng higher mental and emotional stress compare sa iba. At unang dahilan ng stress nila is inadequate financial resources or not good enough resources. Yung kulang sa pera, alam na naman yun. At dun tayo nagkakaroon ng breakdown. Number 2 is greater use of ineffective coping strategies or lack of understanding. Ayun, marami hindi natin naintindihan kung ano mga ginagawa natin. Kaya ganun. Number 3 is less access to social support or yung mga walang circle, friends, family, relatives na magsusupport sa'yo through ups and downs.
Race. So, sabi sa study ni Ronald Kester at ni Harold Neighbors noong 1986 na ang social class daw ay kontrolado at ang race to be and continues to be an important predictor of distress. So, katulad na lamang dito sa African American women at ng European American females. Sabi, ang African American daw ay mas nakakaranas pa din ng stress kumpara sa European American females. Bakit? Alam naman natin na nagmamatter pa rin dito ang pagkakaroon nila ng racism at discrimination against black people. Kahit na mas nakakaranas ng higher level of stress ang mga African American, ay mas may access naman sila for social support. At ang outcome nito, nagiging mababa or nagkakaroon sila ng lower levels of mental disorder. And the person's ethnicity is relevant to his or her stress response. Alam naman natin na pagdating sa mga white people, better big deal sa kanila and masyado silang medyo negative ang response nila when it comes to black people. Up until now, hindi pa din nila natatanggap ang mga black people sa society. May mga tao pa din na, may ilan pa din mga people na nang-discriminate sa kanila. Gender. Ang sabi, ang mga babae daw ay mas mataas ang rate na maka-experience ng psychological distress and depression kumpara sa mga lalaki. Patunay ito sa evidence ni Rosenfield noong 1999. It's because of the culture, mga kapanahunan natin noon na nagmamatter sa kanila na ang mga babae ay dapat nasa bahay lang mga panahong hindi pa sila allowed na makapag-aral or gumawa ng mga mabibigat na bagay o mga task ng kapanahunan natin. Kapanahunan ng mga ninuno natin. Ganun. Mapa-urban or rural areas man lang, treated or untreated population. So ano nga ba yung mga possible causes for high disparity between women and men? High disparity, sabihin ito yung pagkakaroon ng inequality and unfairness na pagtingin sa gender. So number 1, ang mga babae daw ay mas dedicated to the caregiver role than men. Ibig sabihin, mas kaaya-aya tignan na ang mga babae daw ay sila lang yung nasa bahay at nag-aalaga ng mga supling. At ang mga lalaki daw ay mas maganda na nagtatrabaho o gumagawa ng mga mabibigat na gawain. Number 2, women are more inclined to be emotionally involved in the people around them. Sila yung mas madali makaramdam ng awa. Nawawala yung pagka-professionalism ng mga babae minsan kapag sila ay kapag na-attract yung emotion nila or nakaramdam sila ng awa, na-offend, they take things too personally na. Number 3, women introject rather than to express anger. Sinabi nating introject, ina-adapt lang nila kung ano yung expectations sa kanila ng society. They do not express anger. Kaya minsan nasasabing may hina ang mga babae. At ang mga lalaki daw, they are aggressive. Mas nabibigyan ng opportunities ang mga lalaki dahil ganito yung kasi ang mga babae more on introjection than to express rather than express anger. Number 4, continuing power differences between women and men in society. Ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon ng lack of opportunities ang mga babae noon. Or sinasabi na ang mga babae ay hindi sila mas nabibigyang pansin when it comes to work. Mas na-promote yung mga lalaki. Mas madaming opportunities ang lalaki dahil kaya nila yung mga mabibigat na bagay. Well, in fact, stereotyping lang naman ang tawag doon. Iniisip lang natin na kapag babae mahina na agad, na hindi natin iniisip na kaya din naman ng mga babae kung ano yung kayang gawin ng isang lalaki. Kasi dumedepende tayo sa stereotyping. At kaya mas nabibigyan ng opportunities ang mga lalaki kumpara sa mga babae. Andito pa din tayo sa point kung ano yung nakasanayan nung culture na nakasanayan ng kapanahunan natin noon. Yun lang.
Cultural differences in stress response. Culture is the set of ideas, beliefs, expectations, and behaviors shared by a particular group of people. How culture affects person's experience of stress. Number 1, the type of stressor to which a person may likely to be exposed. Number 2, how a stressor will be perceived. Number 3, coping mechanisms available to deal with stress. Number 1, type of stressor. Different cultural groups live in different geographical, economic, and political areas. Hence, the type of stress a cultural group is exposed to will also depend on their general location. Dito sa type of stressor, it focuses on geographical location ng isang individual. And we all know naman na we're living in different areas or places. So, yung type of stress or stressor na ating kinakaharap is iba-iba rin. Next is, culture differs according to what their members perceive as stressful. Dito, magbibigay ako ng example para mas madali natin siyang maintindihan. For example, in parts of Southeast Asia, like Japan, academic success sa kanila is masyado nilang binibigyan ng malaking importansya. That reflected in the degree of educational stress suffered by Southeast Asian students. And sa Japan, there are regular reports of students committing suicide kasi hindi nila na ipapasa yung exam. While naman sa atin, which is the Philippines, kapag hindi tayo nakakapasa sa mga exams natin, kadalasan tinitake natin yung stress as positive. And kadalasan sinasabi natin na babawi na lang tayo ng next exam Like that po. Thank you.
We already discussed this in our previous discussion. As we discussed, coping mechanism are the strategies that can help people adjust to stressful events while helping them maintain their emotional well-being. Some of the ways the culture differ in the way they make available different coping mechanisms to their members are: number 1, belief that allows them to make a sense of stressor. Culture transmit belief system that may affect the way their members make sense of stressor and consequently how well they are able to cope with them. For example, the religious belief as in the Philippines. The bahala na attitude of the Filipinos draw on divine assistance to help them cope. So ito yung paniniwala natin na nakakatulong sa atin para ma-lessen yung stress natin. For example nga, yung bahala na attitude nating mga Pilipino, na kapag may problema tayong hindi natin kayang solusyonan, iniisip natin na bahala na kahit anong mangyari, okay na yun, basta may nagawa tayong kahit hindi ganun kaganda, basta may nagawa, okay na, bahala na si Lord, ganun lang natin. Ganun yung paniniwala natin. Number 2 is belief about how stressors should be coped with. So, different cultures also transmit different values on coping with stress. For example, the Western culture of independence and self-reliance will impact the person's willingness to seek social support. Asking for some others people help would be regarded as shameful because one's problem is typically dealt with alone. Meanwhile, for collectivist culture, being part of a social group is the primary coping mechanism. So, ito yung culture ng bawat ng Western and parang Western and Eastern. Magkaiba sila. Sa Western, more on independent. Sa Eastern, more on collectivist sila. So, sa Western, dahil independent sila, hindi choice sa kanila yung yung mag-share sa friends nila kasi nga mas gusto nila sinasarili na lang nila yung problema nila. Ayaw nilang i-share sa iba para mas maging private siguro para sa kanila. And then sa Eastern culture naman, mas collectivist yung part of our culture is to share our problem so that mababawasan yung bigat na mararamdaman natin at mababawasan yung stress na nararamdaman natin kasi nga nalabas natin yung sama ng loob na kinikimkim natin. Lastly is the availability of social support. Individuals that comes from culture which offer more social support are able to cope better with stress. Seeking external support instead of self-isolating and externalizing the effect of stress can greatly reduce the negative effect of a difficult situation. So tayong mga Pilipino, mas gusto natin yung makaramdam ng social support lalo na pag may mga problema tayo. Yung gusto natin mararamdaman natin yung mga kaibigan natin, yung pamilya natin na handang tumulong sa atin pag may problema tayo para mabawasan yung bigat na nararamdaman natin kasi alam natin na nandyan lang sila sa likod natin, na handa silang maging gabay natin, handa silang tumulong, lalo na pag masyado nang mabigat yung pinagdadaanan natin, hindi nila tayo pababayaan at tutulungan nila tayo upang maging successful dun sa decision making na gagawin natin. Taking care of the self, the need for self-care and compassion. Self-compassion is generally defined as having an attitude of kindness and consideration towards oneself. Self-care is essentially the action and approaches that embody being kind and considerate to oneself. So, self-compassion is simply accepting ourselves with an open heart. Dapat tanggap natin kung ano tayo at kung sino tayo. Stress can occur lalo na if you don't know yourself better. It's better to know yourself so that you can give yourself a self-compassion and self-care. But due to the some cases that we don't know ourselves fully, stress can occur. We know that stress is one of the reasons why we are feeling unwell with a certain situation. This is the time when we are having a hard time with ourselves. That's why we have coping mechanism to help us fight the stress we are feeling. Better for us to know ourselves para mas mabigyan pa natin ng self-care and self-compassion yung sarili natin at mas mapabuti yung kalagayan ng ating mga sarili. Psychologist Abraham Maslow presented a motivational theory outlining human needs illustrated in a hierarchical manner. The hierarchy of need is in the form of a pyramid, starting with the most basic and most important need at the bottom and moving up to achieve self-fulfillment. So Abraham Maslow laid down an idea about our hierarchy of needs that is in the form of a pyramid, where the bottom, which has the biggest part, is our basic needs, followed by the psychological needs, and then the self-fulfillment needs. The first of the Maslow hierarchy are physiological needs. These are most basic human survival needs, include food, water, sufficient rest, clothing, shelter, health, and reproduction. Maslow states that these basic physiological needs must be addressed before human move on to the next level of fulfillment. The next in the pyramid of Maslow hierarchy of need is safety needs. Safety needs include protection from violence and theft, emotional stability and well-being, health security, and financial security. So, safety needs is that ito yung pakiramdam natin dapat ligtas tayo sa kahit anumang paraan. The next Maslow hierarchy of needs is the love and belonging needs. The third level of Maslow hierarchy relate to human interaction. Among these needs are friendship and family bond, physical and emotional intimacy, ranging from sexual relationship to intimate and emotional bonds are important to achieving a feeling of elevated kingship. So dito, ito yung part na kailangan natin ng relationship between our friends and family. Esteem needs. This Maslow hierarchy of needs talks about our self-respect, the belief that you are valuable and deserving of dignity, and self-esteem or confidence in your potential for personal growth and accomplishment. The top Maslow hierarchy of needs is the self-actualization needs. It is your fulfillment of your potential as a person. Ito na yung pinaka na-achieve na natin yung kung ano talaga ang gusto nating maging. Dito, successful na tayo at na-fulfill na natin yung mga gustong nating gawin in the future.
Si Abraham Maslow ay isang psychologist na kilala sa paggawa ng motivational theory o hierarchy of needs, na isang pyramid na naglalaman ng mga kailangan natin sa ating pamuhay ayon kay Maslow. Ito ang Maslow's hierarchy of needs na nahahati sa tatlo, ang basic needs, psychological needs, at self-fulfillment needs. Ito ang mga bagay na kailangan natin makuha o maramdaman sa ating mga pamumuhay. Ang basic at psychological needs ay kailangan natin matanggap araw-araw, pero tayo ay naiirita kung hindi natin matugunan ang mga ito. At ang nasa taas ng pyramid ay ang self-actualization. Ito ang nagbibigay daan sa atin na makuha ang ating buong potential. Sabi sa teorya ni Maslow na nagiging motibado tayo sa mga unsatisfied needs natin, na mas kailangan maunang matugunan ang mga nasa babang mga kailangan at nababalisa tayo kung hindi natin makuha ito. Kaya gagawin natin ang lahat ng makakaya natin para matugunan at makamit natin ang mga needs na ito. At kapag nakamit na natin ito, maghahanap naman tayo ng ibang needs hanggang makamit natin ang self-actualization. Nakikita din dito na dahil sa ating matinding kagustuhan, makamit ang mga ito, nagkakaroon tayo ng mga emosyonal at mental na problema. Pag hindi natin nakamit o hindi tayo kontento sa physiological needs, maaari tayong magkasakit at maging unkomportable at pwede ring ikamatay. Pag hindi naman tayo nakontento sa safety needs, maaring maiba ang ating perception at magkaroon ng paranoia na pakiramdam natin na ang mga tao sa paligid natin ay may masamang balak sa atin at pwede ring magkaroon ng agoraphobia o ang pagkakatakot sa mga lugar na sa tingin natin na tayo ay nakakulong. Kapag hindi naman tayo nakontento sa belonging love needs, ay madali tayong kapitan ng kalungkutan. Kung hindi naman tayo nakontento sa esteem needs na hati sa dalawa, ang una, ang lower form needs na ang magagandang pagtrato sa atin ng ibang tao at ang higher form o ang ating respeto sa ating sarili at ang pagkakaroon ng tagumpay at kalayaan. pwedeng tayong magkaroon ng mababang pagtingin sa sarili at depresyon. At ang panghuli, kung hindi tayo kontento sa self-actualization needs, maaari tayong magkaroon ng mababang pagpapahalaga sa ating buhay.
Familiar naman sa iba sa atin yung word na self-care. Yan, for example na lang na iniwan tayo ng girlfriend or boyfriend mo, mapapa-self-care ka na lang talaga. Pero hindi lang lagi dahil sa heartbreak kaya napapa-self-care yung isang tao. Pwede rin dahil sa stress na nararanasan niya or depression. Pwede rin dahil sa mga nakakasalamuha niya na toxic. Yan, yung self-care according sa Maslow hierarchy of needs, it is a satisfying variation of level of our need. Is very important to a person's overall health and well-being. So, yung part ng ating well-being and healthcare is yung pag-aalaga natin sa sarili natin. Yeah. Importance of self-care para sa isang tao. So, yung importance ng self-care is matulungan or ma-develop natin yung healthy relationship natin sa sarili natin. Dito sa self-care, mas nabibigyan natin ng oras yung sarili natin upang mas makilala natin kung sino tayo. Maraming benefits yung self-care like can improve our physical health, our mental health, emotional health, and also yung spiritual health natin. Can also reduce anxiety and stress. Nakakapagpabos rin ito ng self-esteem. And it can also give you a good feelings. Nakakagana, kumbaga, na pwede nating ibahagi or ihawa sa ibang tao. Yan, tandaan lang natin na you can give to others what you don't have yourself, which is the care. Yan lang.
There's a misconception among a lot of people what self-care really is. So what's self-care not? Every time you are stressed, you say, I had a rough day, so I'm going for a drink to unwind. Self-care. Every time you like something, this is really not in my budget, but I should not deprive myself because, self-care. Or, I'm so hungry but I'm on a diet, so I won't eat. Taking care of my weight in self-care. So those three are the example of self-care not. People believe na yung mga ganitong gawain is considered as self-care, but it is not. In the first statement, karamihan sa maraming tao nagiinom ng alcohol every time na may problem sila or they feel stressed. Alcohol is not bad, but if we find comfort in alcohol, yung tendency is every time na may problem na tayo sa life, iinom na tayo lagi ng alcohol, na which is bad to our health and not considered as self-care. In the statement 2, uso to ngayon there's a lot of people buying things they like as a reward for their self, especially yung may mga work na tao. But things that we like is not bad. Siyempre, need mo rin naman i-treat yung sarili mo, especially kapag may achievement kang nakuha or nakasurvive ka sa stressful weeks or days. Pero kung hindi siya naka-budget, tas pinilit mong bumili kasi nga gusto mo, it can cause another stress. In statement 3, yung pagda-diet is napaka-important niya sa health natin and considered talaga siya as self-care. Pero kung mali yung way na pagda-diet mo, which is nag-skip ka ng meals kahit na you feel hungry, it can affect your health. Unang-una, sa food tayo kumukuha ng energy. Pangalawa, it can affect your metabolism, mas babagal. And lastly, it can also affect your mental health. Pwede kang magkaroon ng eating disorder na which is pag kumain ka na tapos naparami lang ng konti yung kain mo, after nun, magigilty ka and may tendency na mag-binge eating ka naman. So,
notions of self-care are oversimplified. Yung proper self-care is yung pag-adapt ng mindset na making your physical and your mental health a priority. Katulad ng pag-engage sa mga activities, walking, jogging, reading a book, etc. Self-care, it is important to manage our daily stressor and challenges. Ito yung something na makakapag-improve ng our health and well-being. Often, alcohol, sweets, and other things are promoted as self-care. None of those things are bad. We just need to be mindful sa mga intentions natin. Kailangan natin maging careful na di maging dependent sa mga things or gawain na we use as self-care. Hindi porket nahanip natin yung comfort doon does not mean we should use it as our sole method of self-care. So the key word to self-care is balance. Being good to yourself will enhance the likelihood of living to your fullest potential. Compassion, neutral or learned. According to scientific research, human beings are actually wired for compassion rather than self-interest. So, what is compassion? Compassion, framed as an emotion, it is the felt response to perceive suffering that involves an authentic desire to ease distress. So, ito yung care or yung kindness, especially yung tendency to think about the needs and the good of others. Yung compassion, ito yung nafe-feel natin yung pain ng other people kapag nagsasuffer sila. And ito yung nag-uudyok na gumawa tayo ng actions para malesen yung pagsasuffer ng taong iyon. So, we might show our compassion through charity, for example, through volunteering, helping others, spending time, or yung pakikiramay sa mga taong may pinagdadaanan. So, in short, compassion, it's suffer with another person, and when you feel the pain of other people, it boosts you to action. Yung compassion yung nagmamotivate sa atin na gumawa ng something practical to offer some kind of support, whatever looks like. Compassion is often confused with that of empathy and altruism, although compassion does involve empathy and altruistic behavior. So marami yung nako-confuse na same lang yung definition ng empathy and compassion, though it's not, but those three are something related. So yung empathy, as defined by researchers, it is an emotional experience of another person's feelings. In reading a sense, it is an automatic mirroring of another's emotion. So, yung empathy, this is where we put ourselves in other person's shoes to feel what they are feeling, and the empathy can stir up compassion. So, doon napapasok yung compassion, and those feelings and thoughts include na yung pag-desire natin ng health for those people na nagsasuffer.
Passions, surprising benefits for physical and psychological health. Ayon dito, mas makakabuting damayan ang isang taong may sakit sapagkat mapapabilis ang paggaling ng may sakit dahil ang pagdamay ay nagbibigay benepisyo sa mental o physical health ng isang tao. At kapag naranasan ng isang taong may sakit na may karami siya, ay gaganda ang kanyang pakaramdam at mababawasan ang stress o problemang iniisip. At magiging maayos siyang mag-isip at nagiging aktibo ang utak.